This is the Utopia Talks podcast. Before we get into this, please like, rate, comment, and subscribe to this podcast. It means so much to us, and it means other people can find our episodes and we can keep making amazing podcasts for you. And don't forget, you can also watch this on YouTube. So today we have one of the most versatile and iconic DJs in the world. Native to Australia, but has been based in London the past 13 years. You'll have seen her peroxide blonde locks bobbing above the decks at Glastonbury, body movements, basically everywhere. She's everywhere. I don't actually know how she does it. She's known for her intricate, psychedelic, techno, industrial sounds. Everyone from Daniel Avery to your mum to Kylie Minogue are fans. Hello to HAAi.
Hello. What an intro.
Wrote that early on the way here.
Thank you. It feels like I just won an award.
You did. The award is being here on Utopia
literally.
Talks.
I like that you added your mum in there as well.
Yeah. I was a big fan of that.
Well, yeah, whose mum doesn't love HAAi, you know?
Exactly. One for the mums.
Absolutely. And how are you today, joining us in our very intense studio?
I'm good. I like the studio very much, actually. It's very slick.
Fab.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good since I was able to find the studio.
Yeah, I had to go out on the street and find Neil.
I was cycling around the block, looking like a little lost puppy.
Oh,
yeah, it's all right.
But you made it.
I was scooped up.
Yep, I scooped you up. It's here. Also, earlier this week, happy Lesbian Day of Visibility.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise.
We all celebrate in this room.
Yeah, literally. For those who celebrate.
Yeah, for those who don't.
And for those who don't get it.
How did you celebrate this year? Was it a big one for you?
She just a little bit of my lesbian literature. Fab. And some strong posting. So.
Oh my God. You actually did do some strong posting.
I did, yeah. I did. Do you know what? I did one in particular that was like, it was. I think it's really important to recognise the kind of like what's been done and historically in the sort of like earlier marches and stuff. So I did some posting from that, and there's one within all of these like really quite political, like we're here, we're queer kind of leaning signs. There's one that just says "Hi Mum," and I just tagged, like without any warning, just tagged my mum and said "Hi Mum," and she just replied, like she's on Aussie time. She just replied like later that night. She was like, "Hey baby." I was like, oh, I think maybe I should have just done a little bit more explaining for her. But she's an ally. She would be heading up the P flag float if she could.
Good. That is what I would expect.
Yeah,
from your mum. I feel like when I first met you, which was many moons ago in 2018, maybe. I feel like we spoke about your mum, and I feel like she was like coming on some nights out with you in London.
Yeah. She has. Mum's had some real like airtime over the years. Actually, she came to visit me in London when I was still at Phonox, and she came for my all night long, and she danced. Dance music has never really been a thing in our family until it swept me up, basically.
Really?
And then she came to another all night long in Singapore with me. I did some surprise shows with Fred in Australia, and Fred and my mum really got along really well, and he was giving her mad shout outs on stage. And I was just like imagining her, because I flew her to Sydney for them, and she was living in like a mining town in Western Australia, and she was like, I was just imagining her just like strutting back into this like teeny tiny town, like sunglasses on, like she's been on stage with Fred again.
Playing everyone all the new music.
Literally showing everyone the video.
iPod.
Yeah. That's me, that's him.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty. I was really gassed for her to have like that experience as well. She loves it.
That's what it's all about, though, when you can like bring your family to things. Like my parents have only been to a handful of shows. I bring my brothers along quite a lot, and it's like, I don't know, it's just wonderful.
It's really cool, isn't it? It's like, I think, Mum has like, I've been doing music for a long time, and Mum has really sort of, I wouldn't say like suffered through, but like she's definitely sat through a lot of like genres of music that I've made and played and all the rest. So I think the sort of the club party environment is probably a bit easier for her to get into my folk years.
And does she get it now? Like, as in, she gets what you do and your success?
I've been very, I mean, she's very proud and very sort of vocally proud, which is really nice. But she's, to be honest, like I've always been like, since I was a kid, like just been really driven. Like anything that I was kind of like really into, I was like really, really into. And I think I get like a lot of that from her. And I think when she sees that, I was a hairdresser for a long time before I was doing this. And,
You
and
were?
she was, yeah.
What, in London or in Australia?
And both, baby. Yeah.
Do you do your own hair
surprise. No. It's quite interesting. That's always a question when I
It's quite hard to do your own.
I mean, I have at points when I to bleat. I cut it sometimes.
Oh my
I
God.
do these.
Can you do my hair right now?
Yeah. This has turned into a totally different kind of podcast.
Let's leave the podcast. Just give us both a makeover.
Welcome to Janelle's hair podcast. Yeah. on today's episode. But like I left school at 14 because I was like school wasn't really for me, which we can go into that later if you want. But like to do hairdressing and I was so into it, and Mum was really so supportive of it because I think she could just see how passionate I was about that. So when I wanted to do music more seriously, she was like, sick.
Wow.
And then just managed to make it work. I mean, I was working like 3 jobs and making music at when I first started out. So it was like, wasn't like I just was like, bye, work. I'm an artist now.
I wish it was that easy.
Literally. It's kind of good that it's not in a way though, so that we can. Was for me anyway, so that I can. Now I'm just like so grateful for everything,
Yeah. So how did you? I didn't know that about you. So how did you go from hairdressing to like music? And you were in bands. You were doing like live music stuff, like psychedelic, shoegazy stuff, like before HAAi, which is out there. People know that. But how did you transition then? And like when were you like, I want to do music, like just music?
Always. Yeah, always. I was a really musical kid. It was just we didn't really have the means to like for me to get like any kind of lessons or anything. Or actually, I did do like as like a school like curriculum thing when I was like really little. I played the flute for like 6 months, but I was just because that was what was available in school and like. Yeah, and then but outside of that, it was like I always wanted to like get guitar lessons, but we just couldn't afford it. But I got gifted a guitar by like a family friend, and then downloaded like guitar tabs and taught myself how to play basically. Yeah,
oh my God.
And I loved it. Yeah,
sick.
And then I was sort of like this was when I was about 12 or 13, I think, and yeah, it was also like when you come from like a tiny town like I did.
So where were you from? Are you from in Australia?
Originally from the far northwest in the Pilbara region. It's called Karratha.
Okay.
It's like a iron ore mining kind of town. I think, and then we left when I was very young. It's coastal. It's very, very beautiful. I think, it's like the memories that you attach to a place that you were born. And I haven't really been back a great deal, but I have like, I think I'll get back at a point. But then I grew up in the southwest and yeah, it's just like a coastal small town, and it's developed a lot more now. But when you're like, I think you sort of choose, when you come from the kind of, not like a loaded family, you kind of choose what your options are in a country town. And I was so lucky to get my little guitar to distract me from life, really.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And what were you like as a kid?
Well, hyperactive.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty happy. I was always like a pretty happy kid, to be honest, and like, just had a real like, I don't know if like lust for life is I was just like really like quite a joyful kid. Yeah, and just like I've looked back at some like old Mum's like sent me some old like VHS.
Oh my God, so you've got footage
like scraps, and I'm like, that child has ADHD, which we now know is confirmed. But I'm like, it looked like I was having a sugar rush for like my whole childhood. Any of these, when I was like, if I was in a room with that child, I'd be like, but I was, I think like I was very lucky that it was I was like very, very sort of playful and jokey, and I'm lucky that was kind of encouraged.
Yeah, I mean, you're still pretty playful. Like,
I didn't shake it off.
HAAi is like your collection of like stickers on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I don't know how many you have. I don't know when you make these. Like,
it's a heartbreaking story, actually.
What?
Well, I just reinstalled the app yesterday, and it's really messed up my sticker game.
You've lost all your stickers.
That was the thing that made me special as well. So I feel really sad.
It was your USP.
Fully. It was a thing that, like, it's such an amazing way to, like, kind of let, you know, if you're messaging with like an artist liaison or someone in another country or something, it's a really good way to let them know that you're like vibes or that you're up for the crack kind of thing. Like, and also their response is like a really good way to gauge, like, if someone is just like presses like a thumbs up or something on the sticker, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but maybe it's going to be that kind of nice. But
also, are these all like personalized stickers?
Honestly, I could show you some right here.
Yeah, like some strong collection. I might have to hit you up for some send backs.
This one's like a frog in a car. You eating a sandwich.
Yeah. I think that was me letting you know today that I was coming, that I was on my way. It was a toad in the car.
Nice. But I think the first time, well, actually the only time I met you before this was in was in a bar in Shoreditch. I think is it in Shoreditch or somewhere around there. It's called Shapes. Anyway.
Yes.
And I came over to you and I just went, I was really drunk and I just went,
oh my God, I remember this.
Are you high?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, I am. And I was like, oh, I loved your set of body movements. And then that was like, you know, whatever. But it was funny because
I was sat with my friend Pat.
I remember after being like, imagine if it hadn't been you and I'd gone up to someone in this random bar and just gone, are you high? I could have given someone some like paranoia. Like,
literally. Do you know what? I mean, it's such a funny thing because people have obviously asked me that like in different environments. But I was in Albania. You might need to edit some of this out, but let's just see.
Let's see.
But I was staying in a hotel where the festival was. It was sort of like it was Ion Festival, and it was across like in this whole really, really beautiful seaside town. And someone, like a punter from the festival, came up to me in the hotel lobby and was like, are you high? And I went, yeah. And we had a hug. And then we had a picture. And then one of the people working from the hotel came up to me and was like, what have you taken? And I was like, oh, no. And I sort of was trying to, like, English was very much his second language. And and I was just sort of like trying to explain this thing. And, you know, the more that you sort of tried to explain it, and I just realized how much of a dick I sounded like as well. And I was like, I'm just going to go to my room, actually. So,
oh, my God.
Yeah. So I really kind of walked myself into it with my name choice. But.
What does HAAi mean?
Well, many things. It's in Dutch, it means shark. In I think in Indonesian as well. It's basically I used to play in psych bands, and one of my favorite all-time songs is by an Indonesian psych group called the Panburs, and they have a track called HAAi.
No way.
It's sick. Yeah, I love this song, and that was I just sort of like when I was at Ridley Road, just one day was we were like, I was playing like, you know, every weekend there, and I'd sort of wormed my way into I called it a residency and kind of created
like one of
thing.
But what bar was it?
Ridley Road Market Bar.
Oh yeah. Where they do the frozen margaritas.
Yes, yeah. And ginger mojitos.
Is it still there? No.
Yeah,
it is still there.
Yeah, it's thriving.
Oh my God.
And I think they have like loads of DJs that come through now, and like but I remember the day that we were like, let's just have a name that's not like DJ Tennille.
Right.
And then then my friends wrote like HAAi on the little chalkboard out the front and sticky taped a little parasol next to it, and the rest is history, really.
No way.
Yeah. And then here we are sat in these little swingy chairs.
So that residency, like that initial one, how did that come about, you playing in Ridley Road? Because I do vaguely remember when you were doing it. Like,
yeah. I was working on the bar and my band had since split up, and I was like really like, I guess like licking my wounds from that, and was at the point of being like, oh, like music. I was the band breaking up for me was like devastating. But I'd been collecting records for a while, and so I just started like bringing them into the bar. I didn't have like 1210s or anything, or CDJs or anything at home. I'd never really thought about DJing. I just liked music. So I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna start like playing these records on like a Tuesday on my day off when the bar's open, and then sort of did it more and more. And then they were like, oh, the DJ's dropped out for like Thursday night or Friday night, and then so I went and did that, and it kind of went really well. And then I kind of just like wormed my way into it, if I'm honest, because I was just like, it was something that I felt like, even more so than like, I've been like playing instruments like since I was really little, but I wouldn't say it was something that ever really came like supernaturally. Like I had to like work so hard to be okay at it. Whereas I found, for some reason, like music selection and mixing records, I found like I just sort of like lent into it much more naturally. And and just really enjoyed being like, I love this tune so much. I can't wait to see how much other people love it. And I think that was probably a big part of what probably like cut through with a lot of stuff for me, I think, was that like, and just kind of like learning on the job in that way was like made like a really profound difference to how I play, I think. So
yeah, I think like those like weekly residencies and learning on the job
fully
is so formative,
I
think, to DJing.
Absolutely. And it's something that I like advocate for so much with like new DJs coming through. And I'm sure you get asked this a lot as well, as like, how do you have any tips on like how to break into DJing or like how to get more gigs and stuff? And it's like, when you've had like such a unique experience to yourself, you can like recommend the things that people notice, but you're like, I'm not going to say like go and get a job on the bar at Ridley Road and like and worm your way into like a residency. But I think the things that are important is these in your formative years is the playing to an empty bar or an empty room and trying to get people onto the dance floor with that's something that's so free from ego. It's like your main aim is to get people really excited about the music that you're playing, and I think that is something that you really like. Something that you take with you for like your entire career, I think. And also warm-up sets are sick.
Oh my God, I love playing to no one and then like reeling them in. The satisfaction.
When you see someone kind of go, oh, hang on.
It's fab.
You see that toe start tapping?
Literally. There was a couple like before my record collection or like my music collection had really grown as much, there was like, there was a few like sevens that I would play that I would just be like, this always works kind of thing. And it was so cool just to see it kind of like lure people onto the little checkered dance floor at Ridley. It was cool.
Oh my God, do you ever go back there?
Occasionally. It's like it's kind of dangerous, to be honest. Like the drinks are like really cheap and delicious, and like it's always quite fun. So I'm like, I'll go there like, a few times a year now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, got too much to do in the day these days.
Yeah,
can't afford the hangovers.
You're a busy bee.
Yeah, or the structured hangovers, really. Or strategic.
I mean, I really want to know how you do it, because on the Gay Times cover article, like front of Gay Times that you did, they said you do 100 shows a year, which is a lot of shows.
It is.
Also, like, it might even be, I don't know, you tell me. But you do a lot of shows. You're DJing, producing. You've put out your debut album a couple of years ago. You're working on your second album now.
Correct.
You also have your label.
Yeah.
You tell me. You do a lot of things.
It sounds like, it is a lot. It's like, I would say like, being a hyperactive person, definitely there's some like, we've talked, I'm sure you and I have talked about this a lot, and I've just been, really sort of open and honest about like hyperactivity and ADHD, and like it's kind of how it can help in a lot of ways. I feel like for me with what I do, it's like really helpful with my energy levels, with things like hyperfocus. I can like, when it comes to being in the studio, I can like work solidly for like 16 hours, or like on the road, late nights, early flights, I can spring out of bed. And I know that, even with fatigue, there's something about being fatigued that really makes me rebel against it, which is like a blessing and a curse, I'd say. But yeah, I think that's a real, that's been a real kind of like bless for me. Is like it's just hyperactivity like allows me to kind of cram a lot of stuff in. There's definitely points where like anyone that's on the road a lot, and I would say more, the labels probably suffered a bit from my how much I've taken on, but like I like being in the studio is something I find really easy because it's like, it's such a different thing obviously to being on the road, and it feels like, you feel like you're really home when you're doing that as well. So yeah, but outside of that, I don't really know.
Do you have a favorite place to play?
That's a really good question. It's so interesting because, there's so many cities that you go to like around the world that you're like, I feel like culturally the way that people kind of experience music and react to it is so different. And there's like places like, I was just in Lithuania at the weekend. I love playing there so much. It's I play there with Manfredus. And it's just like I've been playing there for years with him, and it's just like the dance music is like, it's in a lot of people's DNA there, and the kind of music that they listen to is like really psychedelic, and but then I played in Brazil for the first time this year, and I played in Colombia, and I was like, so many people had told me like how electric the crowds were there, and I was like not disappointed at all. I feel so fortunate to get to play so many sick places. One of my favorite sounding clubs and just club experiences is Blitz Club in Munich. For anyone who hasn't looked this club up or been there, it's like one of the most like perfectly tuned rooms like in the world, I'd say. But there's something about it that's like it's extremely like unpretentious, but it has the like no phones policy. It's got like super low lighting. It's not like it's high spec, but it's not like high visual production kind of thing. It just has these really low like glowing lights, and it's very like there's a real like cross section of people on the dance floor, and it just feels really like communal, I'd say. Yeah, and their lineups are usually really great. So
That's
Blitz Club.
Need to check it out.
But I mean, yeah, then what, I'm sure I could list off like 100 and be like, on that one, that one, yeah. And also I think sometimes it's like there's clubs or places that you play that you'll be like, this is so sick, and then it's like you kind of have a new one every week. Yeah.
Very interesting. I want to go back to when I first met you because I think it was so fun fact.
Yes.
So we met when I was on Represent Radio.
Correct.
Katie's on Represent Radio.
How about that?
What are you on week? Are you on Saturdays?
Yeah, Saturdays. Yeah.
Saturday. You were my first ever guest on Represent.
That's right.
Because I launched a new show.
And that was when it was in. Is it still in Brixton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it in the same?
In the container. Container. Still there.
No way.
Like rap is such.
I remember walking there from Phonox. Being like, I'm going on the radio.
But it's kind of mad because, and I think about that often, like that. But you in the first guest is obviously stuck in my mind, and then we got to know each other through that
part. Yeah.
And then because I was doing it on a Saturday, and you were doing your Phonox residency, like, literally every 2 weeks I'd do it. So I'd just like drink loads of tins with my friends.
Yeah.
And then be like, hi, we're all coming. And I'd bring like 5 people to Phonox, sometimes more. And then drink your beers from the fridge.
Thank God.
And then you just DJ all night. and that was like one of my second year living in London. And it was one of the like most special, fun, silly moments.
Yeah. That's so, that we had some like fun nights. I was like, I always look back on those times with just like complete fondness, and like there was so much going on, for me, and that getting that residency was just something that I never expected to happen, basically, and the memories from that time and the excitement around everything, and I guess how much it really intrigued a lot of people, artists, people in music.
It was
in
like
general.
a thing. It was like high at Phonox, and like
because everyone was like, "Who the hell is this girl? Where did she come from?"
Well, so how did they come to Ridley Road? Were they on the frozen margaritas, and you got them on the checkered dance floor? Like what? How did this happen?
Well, sort of a combo of things. There was definitely some people that were kind of like sniffing about Ridley Road, I would say, but I actually was just given a really like lucky break from genuinely playing like I I stand by this, and I've said this like many times, that like playing the right record at the right time and the right person being in the room basically. And I was offered to support Jacques Green, coincidentally in Brixton, but at another venue. That went well. And then they were like, oh, when he comes back in a few months, he's doing like, Phonox had just opened, and they were like, oh, he's doing a 2-week residency kind of thing there. Do you want to open up for him? And I was like, oh my God, I've seen this club online. And I was like, I think Jasper James was the residency. I was the resident, sorry. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, that's so cool. But in my mind, I had never really played like clubs then. The place that I was playing like mostly 7 inches and some like 12-inch records in Ridley Road in a place that had no subs in it or anything. So the switch to that was like terrifying. Anyway, and then I went to the week that I had the first warm-up set for there. I learned to use CDJs from my friend because I was like, I needed to like, I couldn't afford to buy like all the records that I wanted, but I needed to cast my musical net a little wider that night. And I did, and I just had one of those just like magic sets, and it was fortunately like really busy when I played, so you can kind of like excite people more. The club was really electric, and it wasn't long after that they were like, we're sort of looking for, they took me for a meeting, and they were like, we're looking for a new resident, and I, no shit, just about fell off my chair. I remember I was like, we were in this like kind of like salad bar, I think it's called like Chopped or something, and I was like, also, when you're like having a meeting, it's like, don't ever order like a salad because it's like leaves and mayonnaise and shit going everywhere. Anyway, that was what was happening to me. And then he was like, so we were thinking about you for the residency. like
a leaf poking out.
Literally, I was like, I think I've got some baby spinach on my face.
When someone DMs you asking for advice, like making it as a DJ, you can be like, if someone asks you for a meeting, don't get a salad.
Don't go to Chopped. No shade on Chopped.
Cool,
just
thank you.
No, go to Chopped in your own time. In private. Yeah, fully. And yeah, I was like, my head just like absolutely spun for so long, and I just remember walking out of there with just like the biggest grin on my face, and that kind of conversation was like the beginning of what was to become like a residency, and yeah, huge impact on my entire life. And yeah, I'll always look back at that time with like so much gratitude, I think, because when you're like, it's so easily just that.
But it was
lunch
special.
Could have not happened.
As someone who was there like most
yeah,
it was special. And like and that's why I love you as a DJ, because you have such a like interesting and wide and like all the psychedelic stuff. I mean, still people, I don't really hear that apart from like you.
Yeah.
And then you drop like an absolute banger. Like I think once you drop like Sandstorm.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, come on.
No, do you know the story behind that?
No.
I think, maybe this was on New Year's. I mean, I would have played it like more than once. Was that Sandstorm or was that? No, Faithless. No, this for me, I definitely would have played Sandstorm at a time, I'm sure. But do you know this story about
Insomnia?
Yeah. Someone basically, I had this. Sorry, I'm probably just going like up the garden path for this story, but I told you I waffle.
We're loving it.
We want to hear it.
I was going back. So this was post residency. I was going back for a New Year's all night long at Phonox, and it was a bit of a big deal because I hadn't been back to the club in a long time, and it was exciting for me. It was exciting for people who were part of the residency, and I had a message in my DMs that day saying, "Hi, if you just on midnight, if you play Insomnia by Faithless, I'll get a tattoo of your face on me." And I was like, fully joking, but I was like, yeah, why not? And then I was like, oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Like it felt like I didn't want to, you sort of go through those phases. And I was like, that song, I will always love this song. But, sometimes like I don't want to be too like obvious with what I'm playing. Anyway, cut to like 1 minute past midnight. Faithless comes on.
Did they get?
And then I get a message from this guy the next day, and he was like, hey. It was like, oh, I really loved it last night. So which do you want to choose the picture? And I was like, I was kind of thinking it was a joke, and obviously I'm not just like, hey, go and get like a tattoo. And he was like, no. And so as a joke, I sent him a sticker of me going like this, like, which I send quite often to people as a thing. And I was like, this, just like as a joke. And I was like, haha. He was like, he's such a sweetheart. And we've met like a couple times. We've spoken many times since. He goes and gets the tattoo on. I'll find a picture of it and I'll send it to you. And he's got this on his calf. And he came to a show of mine in Bristol and was like, I'm the guy with the tattoo. And he lifted up his thing and it's my face on his calf.
How big?
It's like about that big.
It's big.
Yeah. It looks kind of sick actually, even though you're just like, it's like kind of crazy. But he was like, I thought it was this joke, but now it's like we have this like very special bond.
I'm sure.
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
To the grave.
Yes. Yeah. But there you go. There's a few tattoos flying about now, which is, yeah, it's a nice thing. I think
If you were going to get anyone's face on your body,
oh good
tattooed,
Lord. That's a really good question. I don't know.
You should get that guy's
I'll
face.
get yours.
Yeah, get.
Oh my god, yeah, that's actually
Get
really
his
good.
face.
I'll get his face. Something that was quite funny was that he basically it's like just, anyone who has like hairy legs. Like they're not like overly hairy, but anyone who has like hairy legs, anytime you get a tattoo, like they shave the area first. And I was like, oh my god, where my face has gone on his calf. I was just imagining all of a sudden all this hair growing out of it.
Oh no!
And I was like, when I saw it in real life, it was like not
You've
as
got like a beard.
literally. And I was like, can we just keep on shaving that area?
Wow.
Anyway, I digress. But that's the tattoo story. And, well, it wasn't Darude Sandstorm, but it was Faithless.
Also a banger.
Yes. Iconic.
I really want to know. In fact, I want to know. Well, there's lots of things. So with residency, it's interesting because, like, I know they've done other residents of Phonox since, but I feel like that was like a moment in time where, like, the residency was like,
yeah,
it was like a thing for the DJ, for the club. But I feel like at the moment and in recent years, I can't really think of like
a huge amount.
Yeah,
they still do like month-long ones.
Yeah,
I think
they do.
The thing that I feel like there was a few like ingredients that made that really kind of monumental at the time, and one of them was I guess Sub Club forever will be such an iconic institution, and I think like Harry and Dom and Optimo and all of the residents that have been there over the years, and of course like Smart Bar and all of the incredible residents that have existed and still have residencies there now. I think that was obviously I think that was something that they were trying to kind of like honor in what they were doing, and it was a really great talking point for people when the club started, and I even remember the talk around Jasper's residency, and that's how I kind of heard about the club really. And I feel like it was really like they were really sort of, and they really wanted to champion like emerging DJs and give them the opportunity to, with a residency, to kind of grow. And yeah, I mean, it obviously changed like a lot for me. But yeah, it's really interesting. It's like, I feel like we hear a lot less about residencies now than, I mean, I have one in Paris, but it's like
Is that Rex?
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah, which I love very much. But it's like, it's not week. It's like, I play there 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah, just something I noticed.
Yeah.
The scene obviously has changed a lot since then. Since we're talking like, that was like 2016 to 18, right? Or
Crazy.
was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're in 2024. And I think it'd be really interesting just to hear your thoughts on like the scene at the moment, because we're constantly talking about this, and like obviously want to hear from our guests as well.
Yeah.
It's been very, very strange, like obviously with COVID, but I'd say the last like year or two, particularly this year, has been very, very strange. And I feel like no one really knows what's going on.
What the hell?
Do you know what's going on?
I've got the least idea of anyone.
Yeah.
I don't know
think
what the
anyone
hell's
does.
going on.
I'll give you a run for your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had so many conversations about this recently, and it's like even with yourself, and it's kind of like how this like came about. And I think I have so many feelings on like where and why things are the way that they are. Obviously the pandemic shaped so much and changed so much, and there was, I think, a few things that really kind of like hurt the longevity of dance music. One was obviously something that's been spoken about a bit recently, was there's a 2-year gap of 18-year-olds that couldn't go out and that weren't having their first like club experiences. They were sort of hearing the kind of music that they were into, they were experiencing on live and in live stream. Online and in live streams. But another one is, I feel like, and it was just how it had to happen. But like, I feel like the way that things opened up and then closed again and then opened up and closed, and I feel like it gave people too much uncertainty with buying tickets, which made the whole like market really volatile. And I think, it used to be, without getting into the sort of like semantics of like ticket sales or whatever, but for clubs and promoters, how it used to be like how well something kind of like sold out the gates. You could get a bit of a read on how popular a night was going to be, and that provided a lot of like stability for like clubs and festivals, etc. But after, I think a lot of people, there was cases where people couldn't get refunds, and I think that really changed the whole economy of how people like bought tickets to shows, and people would buy things on the night because A, they were available, and B, they knew that if they bought them on the night, that was more likely that the party was going to happen, kind of thing. So I think that over time really impacts so much, and it obviously impacted how much, just like the safety net that shows used to have. I feel like that really changed, and then I think because of that, promoters were taking less chances on like emerging artists, and I think just really relying on like big ticket sellers, and that's why we were seeing like massive shows still going ahead, but like the things that really suffered were smaller clubs. And where it used to be, there was a lot more like what, I wonder how much the kind of residency and the chance that I was given would be able to happen right now in this economy, because it's like the chance that they took on me is huge, and it could have had like a really profound impact on the club if it hadn't have worked. So yeah, that I guess that's like one of the main things, and it's not to just fully like blame COVID for it, but I think that really just the whole sort of ecosystem about like from venue to promoter to artist, and even like speaking now to, I mean, there's no doubt obviously that like inflation and the supply chain for a lot of stuff has really impacted clubs existing, which again has a knock-on effect to artists. And I genuinely feel like it's it's like lower to mid-tier artists that really get impacted the most. Like, I speak with friends who are like amazing DJs who have been doing it for years, and some other friends who have like maybe come through in the last few years who are like haven't got a gig until next year, or haven't got anything in the future, knowing that it something might come in last minute, but like that's not something that was happening a few years ago. There was enough, more than enough gigs to go around, and yeah, it's really like it's difficult to see, and I know that there's a lot of us that are like for trying to find ways that we can help to like really kind of like build the economy of clubbing up again, and like make it affordable for people, but also make sure that like emerging artists are still getting paid, and like it's such a like it's just such an interesting time for clubbing at the minute. Without sounding too like downy about it, but we got to talk about it. I think
the reality, and yeah, I think all the reasons you listed, it makes sense. It's just, yeah, I just feel very, very sad because this isn't how it should be, and like, not to be like doom and gloom, but this is like really, really bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think since I've been playing, and since obviously like, I actually had a conversation with someone who runs a really big club in London, and just with, there's a lot that's happened like politically and with clubs, and then huge divide in the dance music scene and stuff. And I feel like he said to me just the impacts that even with like queer partying and what have you, and he was just like, to be totally honest, like COVID was like a walk in the park compared to where things are at right now. And I guess it's because we knew in COVID that we're all fucked basically, and that there was a possible like end date to it, whereas at the minute I think everyone's just like, what's going to happen next? Like, is there going to be like an uprising of like, like underground music coming through again? Are people going to start like buying tickets again? Like, are we going to have a really strong winter? It's like, no one really knows. And I think things that were like, even last year for promoters and stuff, just with conversations that I've had that were like, this is an easy sell, are like not doing the same this year. And I think like people's music tastes are changing, and yeah, but
Is
they're
illegal
still-
raving gonna come back?
there's some definitely some good ones about, but yeah.
Hmm.
You wonder. I think it's also like kind of I think it is like it's always going to be like an evolution kind of thing. Like there'll be points where people will be turning to like more like, I guess, like forest, like illegal parties and that sort of thing because of being priced out of like clubs and artists that they want to see. But then that eventually turns back into people wanting to go back into clubs and go back into bigger events and stuff. So yeah, cyclical, I meant.
Yeah. I think also like that is like depressing as fuck, and it's been hard for artists. Again, like a lot of friends of mine and like conversations I have with people, it's just been a really tough year. And I think also with how saturated the scene is as well, and like there's more and more music, more and more people posting about music, like it's also just like the social media aspect as well. Everything is getting like lost and convoluted, and I've had a lot of conversations with friends who are like, and I feel like this, like, oh my God, like I just need a break. Like it doesn't feel fun right now because I'm thinking about going viral and like, what if I'm not on this playlist?
Yeah.
And then what about like this? Or you see someone who gets booked for something you don't get booked for, and it's like, why don't I have like 100,000 followers? And
fully, I hear you so much. It's so. I actually was just thinking this the other day because it's obviously like there's like such a toxicity to the away, and it's you just kind of got to roll with it, and and kind of lean into it, a lot, like sometimes. But I think that like there's so it can feel really toxic about this thing that you do see a lot of stuff on your feed and you're just like, how come that's working? And not even thinking about myself, I'm like just looking at other people that you're just like, this person is incredible, but they're not getting, and this person's also amazing, but you're like, how come that person is like so popular and that person's not? And like, what's the kind of, this, I hate this word, but this like traction thing that people get like online, and that obviously really determines like how big of an artist you can be or how many tickets you can sell, and all of these things kind of speak to each other, I guess. But it's I think for a lot of people coming through, it's like it can be quite an exhausting thing, and I can see, you see how much it really impacts a lot of friends as well, that like you have to be like really resilient to kind of survive being online, I think. If you're sort of going, and then like I say, you sort of just see some people just like go whoop. Good for them, but like it's really there's no rhyme or reason, I think, sometimes.
Be interesting to see like the longevity to those artists as well.
It's I think this as well. And I think I guess one thing that cuts through the most and will have like lasting power is like releasing music, doing things like what you've got, like creating a community, like having a label, doing something where you're bringing people together. That's like creating something that can't be erased. Not saying that like being popular online is erasable, but like I think when you're releasing people's music, when you're releasing your own music, that's like the thing that stands the test of time, I think. And like and like people can go back to it in like 10 years and be like, just discover it then and be like, sick.
And then also you're creating stuff that is for other people.
Absolutely.
Like putting stuff on social media is often just like things for you or things that you're doing. Whereas like sharing a bit of music or throwing a night that people come to and love, then it becomes theirs as well as yours, I think.
Totally, yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. I think that's giving people a sense of ownership over something that you're building, I think is really like, I guess that's the foundation of community, really.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We're getting there.
Well, you've got your night, which is literally called Unison.
It is.
Bringing people together, I guess.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Well, Unison is, it was something that I started for the conversation that we're having. It was kind of like a reaction, or maybe like a rebellion against what's going on, and just this idea that you need like headline artists to sell tickets. And the way that what I wanted to do was basically create something that was like a dance floor where everyone was welcome, which is the goal for most parties, I would say. But not only, I guess, in terms of, I love playing like queer parties. I love playing just, just festivals for anyone. But I was like, how can we sort of like create a dance floor that makes it feel like, it doesn't have to just be a queer party for queer people to want to come, or for queer people to feel safe, or like, and then another thing I thought about was like, I noticed this more when I played in Italy, is like the age range of people going out raving is like so vast. And I've played parties in Sicily where like there's like someone in their 70s dancing next to someone who's 18.
Oh my
and
God.
there's no like, I get like a lot of messages when I'm in Europe and the UK being like, oh, for people in their like late 30s, and I'm like, whoa, can we like, that's my age range and my age anyway. And being like, I want to come out, but I'm just too old. And I'm like, how do we make people feel like this is their space? And I mean, that's something that I'm still like really working on, because it's like, how do you cast the net as wide as you can to make people feel like it's everyone's dance floor, basically, without ostracizing like a particular group. Or so that was kind of the first thing, that was where it started. And obviously I think that one of the places that you start is the lineup, and I wanted it to be kind of like as inclusive as possible. And like I started this thing called which is definitely not like unique to my party, but like called Submit to Play. So we just did a call out for like and it was to encourage people to submit a warm-up mix, and just to get back to the roots of like doing a warm-up set, and that being like so important to like the foundations of being a good DJ. And I was so blown away with like how many, we had like hundreds of applicants.
Wow.
And I was like touring like more than I toured in my life at that point. And I just remember being like, oh my God, what have we done?
Oh, no.
But
to listen to them all.
I recruited some of my nearest and dearest to go through, and then we were like, okay, well, what we'll do is it was actually, I did it with my partner, with a really good friend of mine, who we listened to like a lot of promos and stuff together. And then Ty Loken, a dear friend of mine who was on the lineup, and we sort of divided it up, and we all sort of listened through mixes over the course of a couple of weeks. And I was like, let's get it down to maybe, because there was 3 spaces for the party. I was like, let's get it down to like 9, and then we can have a short list, and then blah blah blah. The quality of the mixes was so good, we got it down to 70. And I was like, oh, this is so shit. Like, because you're like, and then I got really caught up with like wanting to, you just want to give an opportunity to everyone that's like, also that's just like not being heard. And like, so we finally got it down to the 3 people who ended up playing on the night. However, what we did with, I was like, well, this is really amazing, because we've got this like database that we can give to clubs now, and just be like, hey, by the way, if you're looking for someone to open, which I've like offered to like so many people. I was like, such a great thing to do. I was like, we've got their mixes, we've got like a link to their Instagram, we've got all of this stuff. Some people did like special little notes and stuff, and I was like, this is a really good way to help to kind of like push the like emerging scene forward. So yeah, there was like many, I mean, like anything that I do, I try and like do a million things on the first go. But yeah, I really Unison for me has been like it's been like a really fulfilling project. So yeah, I'm ready for the next one.
Oh my God.
When is the next one?
Yeah.
I think we're looking at doing it early next year, actually. One of the things that, even though the last one, I think we'd had like just over 2,000 people come through, which it was like, sort of went over 17 hours, and it was like, it was meant to be like, I was telling you both like earlier, it was meant to be like outside in the day, and then inside the cause at night. And then lo and behold, the heavens open, or looked like the heavens were going to open on like 2 days before. And so we just moved everything inside. And I was like, do you know what? That actually like really worked. We had like a 17-hour party inside, and it felt kind of a bit like Berlin vibes. And so it's a kind of blueprint moving forward. Yeah. I am not going to mess around with the weather here. It's too unpredictable.
Don't do it, babe.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about that. That sounds amazing. And also like, yeah, I think giving that list to other promoters and clubs, like that's really special, and like important.
And we'll just grow it as well. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. So anyone that's tuning in that wants the list, we've
I
got
want
it
the
ready
list.
to go. Yeah,
I would love the
absolutely.
list.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, I'd be happy to like. I wasn't really quite kind of sure beyond like offering it to like main clubs in. I guess it's more helpful in London, but in the UK, but like anyone who's like booking parties or yeah. And it's just like I said, there's just like so much talent out there that
See, this is where you're great because
yeah.
you care.
Yeah.
You care about the scene.
Absolutely.
You care about other people.
Yeah.
And like, you're like having such an incredible moment in your career and like no denying you're amazing as an artist, but like the fact that you actually can, you do things like this.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people who are as big as you and bigger don't care.
Yeah, I see this. I think
They don't have to care, or maybe they choose not to care, or they don't want to care.
I think there's it's just having that sense of like different people sort of take what they're doing and run with it in different ways. I think, for me, like I sort of touched on it earlier, but like understanding like I guess like how how easily it could have not happened. So I'm like, someone took such a chance on me. And I feel like so duty bound to like do that as much as I can. As soon as I, all of the things that have happened for me, I understand that like, I could be doing something totally different than like sitting here talking to you guys right now. So I just think it's like really important to, if you can, and if you have the kind of the platform or the means to, it's like just, and the energy, I guess, to do it. And it's something that really like, motivates me, I think. And especially just seeing so many talented people out there, I think, yeah.
That's
the
right.
end.
The end. Goodbye.
Or the beginning. Yeah.
No, honestly, I think it's great. And like, I think one of the things, maybe this is a little bit depressing, I don't know. But like thinking about like making a positive difference in the world, like that's something I always want to do. And that's something you're doing.
I mean, you
want to do.
absolutely do. I find, yeah. And I also see like what you're doing with like Utopia. And I think it's like something I think it's something that like really inspires a lot of people as well. That's
lovely. Thank you. But I was gonna say, like, what I don't like,
yeah,
it's like there are people doing that, but I think something I've learned and seen, which has been quite a little bit demoralizing, is like thinking about things like making the scene a better place and like making lineups like more inclusive and parties safer and stuff. And like I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel like we're getting better and like I feel heard, and then. I don't know, like even like the other day when I posted about like the thing in Ibiza and like you get off the plane, you see the posters for the club and it's like all men, and it's so fucking demoralizing. You step off the plane, like we were literally in Ibiza last week.
I did a really similar post last year as well. It's the same energy up there,
and I'm like, what is it gonna take? To like, it's all well and good, like us in this room having conversations. We all understand what it's like the people who
we're the people who are impacted the most by it. Yeah.
And what I learned from that is when I put it on my story and was like, this is obviously not okay. Like it's still not diverse. The amount of like my guy friends, DJs behind the scenes who are like straight, cis, white, they all saw the stories, like, but not a single one bothered to even like message me or like. Do they care?
Look, it's really, I think they do. Like, I mean, I can't obviously speak for everyone. However, I think it's the thing, it's like, it's the same with many, many things. It's like the people obviously the people speaking up and like screaming into the ether about it are the ones that it obviously impacts the most. And it's like who are doing the most work on it as well. But I think until we see more of that energy coming from people who aren't affected by it, but who are the kind of root of why we're at where we're at right now. I think that's when the change is going to happen. But it's I feel like God, I feel like I had a really good closer on that one, and I've just lost it. But I just feel like, I mean, with the Ibiza one, it's I've had so many chats about that and about that particular sign as well, and I kind of, I did like, I think it's important to have conversations with people and with bookers and understand why for them things are the way that they are. And one of the things that I was met with, one of the sort of responses, and this was a very calm conversation that we'd had, and was like, who do you think is that big who is not male? who could sell that many tickets every week. And I was like, I could like list quite a few, but it's like, you know, whether or not they wanted to play that particular club or something. But the fact of the matter is, it's like the cream, you know, because of where we've been at in the kind of like evolution of dance music and even in the like sort of, you know, like having more inclusivity and stuff, it's still on the grand scheme of things, we're still like back here. And that's like, I'm like, when the cream really rises to the top, are we going to see the change in like 10 years or, you know, when's that going to happen? But I think I really feel as well like we're in a real like plateau phase where there was, you know, everyone was really shouting about it and even a lot of promoters and stuff, but it does feel like there's a bit less effort that's happened this year. And I hate to say it, but I wonder if it's a bit of a casualty of what we were talking about before and about, you know, the market being very volatile. And so people going, well, maybe we've got to lean back into the like big male
just to like
headliners,
keep it afloat and keep,
because it's been reliable for them for so long. Yeah, it's depressing as fuck, but it's like, you know, I feel like we need to. Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, on this topic, I think it's like everything's the rule book's out the window. But I think that, you know, as much as we can, like keep our energy up and stay vocal on stuff and like just like, encourage like our friends who exist at the top of the pack in the world, I guess, you know, to be speaking out more and just advocate for change. I think that's what's going to really help to move things along or stop them from just plateauing so much.
It's frustrating as well because if none of the promoters try it, then like, because for example, like some of those big Ibiza clubs, they'd probably find that they would attract a slightly different crowd if they booked them differently. It doesn't mean they would necessarily sell less tickets. They just might be selling tickets to slightly different people.
Absolutely. I also think a lot of big things on the broader, like in the broader picture globally, festivals, clubs, I think it's like one of the big changes as well is going to happen with like the booking teams. Like when you have a booking team that is purely like cis, white, straight and male, you're more like the bookings are less likely to be inclusive, I would say. And I think it's once the people who are like working behind the scenes on these kind of things, like, you know, they're people who have lived experiences who can kind of like advocate for like inclusivity. I feel like that's another place that change will really happen. But I've been screaming this out into the skies for so long. I know that you have too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're getting there.
We're getting there. It's like a little push and pull, but like, it's like you got to sort of reserve your energies for the right times now.
And I feel like things are just pretty exhausting at the moment. So it's like,
but actually, can I just say one other thing on this?
Yeah, get in there.
That coffee is really giving me a lot to say today. One thing that I really wanted to like on a really positive note is like, you know, when it comes to things like inclusivity clauses on your rider and on contracts and stuff, is like I have mine. I know you have yours. I know a lot of artists that have them, but like the people who are doing the real work on it are like the agents. And my agent Ollie has gone to battle for me to you know, in something that obviously is can be very time consuming and like affect relationships with promoters and stuff. But he really does it because he believes in it so much as well. And I think like, you know, artists advocating for this, but also knowing that their teams behind her are doing the like full legwork behind the scenes as well, I think is something that is like a real positive. So big up the agents that are pushing for change as well, because we're able to like talk about it publicly, but I think they're the ones really, you know, doing the thing behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
Yeah.
Big up Ollie.
You legend.
Yeah, my agent Hannah as well.
Yeah.
I adore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really good to see. It's like, you know, whenever I've had like really sort of like difficult conversations with him and my management as well, they've just been like, yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah. And I like huge respect for that. So
we love it. We love people fighting the good fight.
Absolutely.
We're coming towards the end.
I feel like we've only covered like 2 of about 10 topics and I've been like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, before we kind of wrap, is that like I'm really happy with where we're at. Like,
Same.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This could have been a 3-dayer as
I mean,
17 hours at the
Literally.
course, just us talking.
and
Fully.
you can do our hair as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you doing next? Like, I know you're working on more music, right?
I am. I've been working on my next album, which has been, yeah, a really good experience. I think, and it's pretty, well, I thought it was zip-locked. It's been mixed and then I made more music for it. So I've gone back under the bonnet of it, which is actually kind of a nice thing. But I've been collaborating quite a bit, and I think the first one, like Baby We're Ascending, was a really good. I really wanted to show kind of like you sort of want to show off your production. I also wanted to show that I was like, my background is in like being a musician and singing, and I really kind of wanted to kind of tick a lot of boxes within it, and for it to be like, I guess, exist in its own world. But yeah, this one is kind of. It's a bit more like about storytelling, and there's like a real like theme to it, and visually there's a real theme to it, and it's kind of very much like a conversation piece on. That sounds so wanky, but like it's kind of like like a conversational kind of thing. I think it's about it's not far from what we've been sort of talking about, like the world that we're living in at the minute. I think it's like a good sort of reflection on it for me. So yeah,
And this is like a next year release?
yeah, it was meant to be this year, but the breaks I actually put the brakes on things because I was like, oh, hang on, I've got more music, I think. So, yeah. But also it's like, I also, there's so much amazing music coming out at the minute. And I mean, I'm sure that will just continue to happen. But I was like, I think it's nice to sort of give things a bit of space. Yeah. And
Nice.
also the touring. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah.
You're also playing at Drumshed soon
Correct.
with our fave, Blessed Madonna.
Yeah, for False Idols on, I think, November 30th. So that'll be.
I think we should go to that.
I'm so
You
down.
should come.
I'm so down.
The lineup's sick as well.
Romy as well.
Romy.
Jessie Ware.
Yes. Mel C's just popped up.
You know, we actually have to go.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be a pretty fun night. Like the lineup across the board is going to be. I think Josh James is doing the sort of closing ceremony. Yeah, as well, which should be really, really cool. And, we love a big gold queer party with 15,000 other sweaty queers.
We do.
So, especially in the cold month of November. So
it's what the world needs.
Absolutely. Sweaty hugs.
I also really want to know quickly, Kylie Minogue.
My best friend Kylie Minogue.
Your best mate Kylie. You remixed Padam.
I did.
Like, that song as well was just a cultural reset for many reasons.
Fully.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know, right? Do you know what? I got so much because you know that we ended up like I played a party with her for the opening of Fashion Week last year.
Yeah, saw that.
At this moment in the booth, and I was like, my family back in my country town back home. I was like, when I went back there, my head was held so high.
You couldn't make them more proud.
Huge. Yeah.
Your mum in the supermarket is telling every single person.
Yeah. Oh, there's been a lot of like family posting of that and the pictures and stuff. She was so lovely, like to meet, and to like even her whole team were just like so nice and encouraging, and like it's one of those things. You know, that, I don't know if I spoke much about this, but like how that came about was like and it was the first time I'd done this. I asked for the stems because we have this group of my like closest mates who are like all queer, and the group is called Padam because we were just like obsessed with the song. And I was like, Glastonbury was coming out. I was like, I'm going to secretly ask for the stems. Whether or not I get them is another thing, but I'm going to ask for the stems and I'm going to do a remix for our like little crew, and then I'm going to play it at Glastonbury because everyone was going, and it'll be like a little moment. And then so lo and behold, we were sent the stems by her team, and then I made the remix on the plane. Like I had such a crazy amount of shows, and so I just did it while I was like flying on each journey to wherever I was going, and then I got it all wrapped up, and then we sent it to her team, and they loved it, and they were like, oh, we want to make it like an official release. And yeah, and then
What?
literally
crazy.
and because it was a gift for my pals kind of thing, and then and then so many cool things happen as a result of that. So yeah, gotta ask for it sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? Just you never know in life.
Don't
and
ask, don't get.
literally, yeah, and doing it sort of just with like your friends on a dance floor in mind, as opposed to being like I have to like really like think about what a label wants, or was like I think it brought the best out of the track for me. So.
What do you think? Like mini Tennille, like age when you were at school playing the flute, wanted to make it in music, whatever. Like, and then years later, that you're gonna be like remixing Kylie Minogue, playing with her at Fashion Week.
Fully. I mean, if someone ever said like anything like that, I would have not believed them. It's sometimes when you think about some stuff and you like go, you got to sometimes just like fully take it in, because I kind of let a lot of stuff kind of, but yeah, that was that moment for me. I was really like, be present, like right now when we were like in the booth and she gave me like a big hug, and I was just like, oh.
Did you play it cool? Were you like,
yeah. I mean, I'd like on the outside, inside, I was like going into cardiac arrest, but that's okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I had a few champagnes after that.
Oh,
so.
I bet you bloody did.
Yeah.
We need more Kylie content, babes. I
We
think.
do. Well, we can lean on Maria for that now.
Yeah, true.
I gave her the conch.
Yeah,
they made this amazing tune together.
And
it's
they
like,
performed it at Pikes.
Yes.
Did you see that?
They've done a few like.
And she was at DC10 as well, I think. Kylie.
Yeah. I also love this like dance, like her coming back to like a dance party era. It's like, and it looks like she's having loads of fun with it, and I just love
camp stuff.
Literally, the gays gobble it up.
Yeah.
We love it. We love to see it.
Oh, thank you so much, HAAi.
Thank you.
Love this. Do you want to ask the last question?
What is your utopia? It's a question we ask all of our guests.
My utopia is it's like being at home with the cats and Alice, I think. Yeah, that's for me, like, I mean, like personal utopia, or like, I mean, we can stretch this as, but yeah, for me, like on a, when you're like traveling, and I love that, I'm so built for that life, but it's like, this knowing that you're going to come home and you've got like my two little rescue cats, Milo and Jessie, and Alice, and that's a nice moment.
That's so lovely.
Yeah, and she's great. She's doing good things as well. So, that's my utopia. She'll like that one too, obviously.
Thank you, HAAi. God love you.
Thank you. Love
so
you.
much.
Thanks for having me.